Your big break in TV. Let the prime time, bitch.
Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome to the first episode of Prime Time Terrors. Yes, we finally got this series up and running. Finally for us, I should say, because we've been talking about this thing forever. So it's nice to finally debut this during the Splatterthon. We had our special report going over Chucky Season 1, just released a few days ago. And now we have the actual first inaugural episode with Chucky Season 2, Episode 1. Luke, how are we feeling about all this primetime terror shenanigans?
Oh man, I'm into it. There's no better way to start than with our buddy Charles Lee Ray, I feel. So to kick it off with that special report all over Season 1, I thought was great. And now the official in format, I guess you would say, for the kickoff of Chucky Season 2.
Yep, and just so everybody knows the rules here, this is just going to be kind of a short-term review. No spoilers. We'll save those for kind of like the end of the season, probably do like a wrap-up review, I would say. And then what we're going to do is basically just go episode by episode with you as they release each week, just so we can get our thoughts out there. So feel free to comment down below with your theories, thoughts, and everything in between. But yeah, let's get into this. Luke, I'm going to let you take this away because you are the Chucky aficionado of the group here. I am just a recent fan. I finally got a shirt. So, you know, I'm taking it pretty serious now.
That's how we know that you have true commitment to the franchises once you buy the actual shirt.
Oh, yeah. I'll be getting the NECA figure at some point. I just got to find one I like. But
there you go.
Chucky Season 2, Episode 1. How are you feeling?
I didn't think it was too bad. I think it's a slow start, but I think that's kind of intentional just because you have to pace yourself going through these. So you don't want all Chucky all the time just yet. So kind of getting back in that groove and kind of only showing him mildly throughout this, I think was a good play. But, just being Chucky fans, I think you get a little selfish wanting to see him as much as possible. But I think it worked with the story of just seeing him a little bit throughout this first episode.
Yeah, they kind of really built up to it too, which I really enjoyed, because you're right. We don't see a lot of Chucky this episode. We get a little bit of we pick directly up where we left off in Season 1.
Yes.
With Andy and everything. And then that kind of transpires into an event. And then we cut to like 6 months later. So, the characters are kind of separated. They don't spend a lot of time trying to kind of keep everybody away. They just kind of get everybody back together because of some incidents that are going on, some threats being made. And yeah, I would say I agree with you. It was kind of a slow start, but a necessary start. You kind of had to get all the pieces picked back up from Season 1, because where we left it, it was kind of like there was a lot going on towards the end of that season. So I feel like this was more just like, okay, let's get our important pieces set here. Let's show everybody where things are going, and then we can kind of kick things off. And I think Episode 2 will kind of get into more of the general pace of the show.
Yeah, because I think this was like just getting the wheels turning back. It's like we have to start somewhere. Let's show what's going on. I think this was a full year, because I know they do Halloween in Season 1, and they're back on Halloween again here. So it's just kind of picking up, seeing where everybody's at, and then kind of dropping our little redhead into the mix to kind of get it going. And this one was a slightly different feel, because from what we got from the trailer, there's a particular setting that's emphasized, and we didn't get there yet. So I think, especially from my perspective going into, I figured we'd almost pick up right into that setting, but we didn't get there just yet. So I think I spent maybe some of the episode waiting to get there and seeing when the actual story was going to fully kick off. So I don't know if it was just a waiting game for me, but what we did get with Chucky and the crew, I did enjoy. It's not really a spoiler because it happens so early on in the show, and it's such a mild thing. One of my favorite visuals. We're picking up with Andy driving the truck, just like how we did with Season 1 ended. And one of my favorite visuals is all the Chuckies slicing through the boxes with the knives. I thought I commented on that while I was watching that as one of my favorite visuals for this whole episode.
Yeah, no, that was definitely really cool. I kind of like that whole sequence. I enjoyed the banter between Chuckies and everything. And like they use that primarily in the marketing, so I think we can safely talk about that. But yeah, no, I enjoyed that quite a bit. I thought that that was not only a funny original take, but also truly some creepy imagery too. I enjoyed, like you said, the knives coming through the boxes, kind of seeing it all come to a head there. It's real interesting what they set up with that side of this story. For me, I enjoyed the time that we got to spend with our characters. I just kind of, other than what was going on with our two leads there with Devin and Jake, I was a little perplexed by what they were kind of doing with Lexi.
Yeah.
And she's a character that for me, I think, she grew on me as the season went on. But again, I think they're just making really odd decisions with her. I just think like the way they kind of present her character in a lot of ways, like when she's just kind of in her own head, when her own space, I should say, because as soon as she kind of like links back up with the group and gets with the program again and starts thinking that Chucky's around, I was fine with her again. But like when she's just kind of trying to be that party kid, I don't really buy it. I just have a hard time being like, you're 15 or 16 maybe. Like, what are you talking? Like, you wouldn't be doing all this, I don't think. So
Well,
just kind of a complaint.
for me, I think like I still dislike Lexi. She never grew on me in season 1. I've always wanted to see Chucky get her. So, I'm still waiting for that moment. But looking at kind of the different backgrounds here, where like Devin, podcaster, definitely into like serial killers. Jake has that sort of element to, that morbid kind of side, I would say. Kind of outcasts. So I think they would find their way to each other, which they did, where Lexi's that outlier, where kind of a privileged kid, comes from, politicians, pretty much the world is hers. She can do no wrong, can't get into any trouble. So I kind of make sense as to what she's getting into when she's by herself and left to her own devices. That her kind of the tone of her life is very different than Jake or Devin. So it's kind of like I feel like Jake and Devin are characters that keep her grounded in a sense, where if you leave her doing her own thing, it's probably going to go off the rails pretty quick. But as she's in that group of two kind of more so level-headed characters, it kind of brings her in and kind of bring back down to earth. So, for me, it's never been one of those things where I feel like it's too unbelievable because, maybe from our backgrounds, it would be, we don't come from that kind of high kind of life. But I can see that being kind of a true to form kind of deal.
No, I guess that makes sense. I like the way you put that of them kind of grounding that character because again, I enjoy her as soon as she's interacting with the group. Yeah. As soon as she's a part of the trio, it's all good. Another thing that I would say that kind of shocked me was just the kind of way they chose to wrap this episode up. And kind of how that all transpired. Like we won't get into too deep of spoilers on that, but I thought that was a really interesting and ballsy take for the show to just kind of punch it that hard, that fast. And it's just, especially with a character that gets introduced that seems to have really great chemistry with Jake. And then, just for it to end how it ends, it's just kind of like, wow, okay. I thought we would get a little bit more with that, but no, I think it's just a quick little gut punch. And I appreciated it. I definitely thought that it was ballsy and different. So it's like I was excited to kind of have that happen. I think that's really when the episode starts to kick up for me. Yeah. And really, when we get to that location that you were describing at the end there, the excitement had built. Like I was like, okay, I think by episode 2, I'll kind of be back on board with it. But you're right. This was a pretty slow episode. Again, we have to set the pieces. We have to get the stage ready to go again. And, in the grand scheme of things, if I was binging this show, I'm sure I'd appreciate it a lot more. Because it would be like, I could just watch episode 2. And I bet you in my mind, I would just kind of combine those two stories together.
Yeah. And the incident you're talking about where there's kind of, in a sense, the trigger is pulled, not literally, but, we kind of start moving. That's really where the story starts taking off. And I think that's kind of by design here, where it was slow, like I said at the beginning, where Chucky, the series, you saw it in season 1, tends to keep you on your toes, where it's like, you think you get in this groove, you're into a certain pacing, and then boom, they do something completely different.
It's really well written with its twists. Yes.
It feels organic. It feels real. So it's like, as soon as that happens, even if you're in that comfortable groove, you shoot up and, you're instantly glued to the television again. So I think they really knocked that out of the park as far as that goes in this episode 1 here, where it's like, we got a lot of that in the first season with Jake's father dying, all that stuff. So it's kind of, they really did something different here. They always do. They find a way to tie it in like that. So it's like, that's what you can always expect out of these episodes. In that sense, I don't think episode 1 of season 2 disappointed me in any sense. And then by the end of it, it seems like we're getting into form of how this show's really going to roll. So I'm definitely intrigued. I think this episode also got you asking a lot of questions about some characters, and there's no definitive answers. I think that's great storytelling. That's going to keep you interested, keeping you coming back. So this episode did get you asking a lot of questions, wondering what's going to happen, a lot of different cliffhangers, and a lot of surprises. So yeah, beginning really does start off a little bit slower. Again, by design, I feel. And then by the end, we're picked up, and I'm eager for episode 2.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. I think looking back on it, it could easily become the weakest episode of the season. But again, you're right. We by design, I think we have to kind of pace ourselves a little bit to get into what we're going to get into, especially with the way they ended. It does kind of promise that there's going to be some shenanigans that are going to keep continuing here. I keep using that word tonight, but like, that's really just what it feels like. It's just like there was a lot that happened that's just really strange and weird in this show. So it's kind of what I expect. And I agree. I enjoyed it. I'm excited for episode 2. It hasn't lost me just yet, which is always a great start. But again, I would not be surprised if, looking back on the season as a whole, if this might be the weakest episode. But it's only the first episode. I'm definitely going to be excited to come back here again next Wednesday and talk about the next one. And like you said, now that we're kind of getting into the formula of the show, I think that we're going to have a much stronger start with that episode.
Yeah. And, like looking back on episode 1, season 1, a lot different than this, where, that first season was our introduction back into Chucky. We're waiting for him to show his true self, as he's sitting there. So we have that anticipation. Now, season 2, episode 1, we don't really have that. We've been introduced to him all throughout season 1. So it's like, what do you do to move this story? So yeah, I do feel like less was more here, just because you don't want to get that over flooding of visuals with Chucky. So you only show him sparingly, and then we're going to get into it. We have questions of, just like the end of last season, how many different Chuckies are there going to be out there? So it's very intriguing. Again, a lot of cliffhangers. So we're going to see where this goes.
100%. Alrighty, guys. Well, that's going to probably wrap us up here for our Chucky Season 2, Episode 1 review, titled Halloween 2, very fittingly. And, we are just super excited for this series. I'm happy that it's back, and I can't wait to give you guys more of these episodes.
Not to cut you off, but I did love that they were showing Chucky talking about Halloween Ends and all that stuff through. I thought that commentary was so great.
I'm going to tell you what, I plugged my ears and closed my eyes through most of that stuff because I just don't want to see anything else.
Yeah.
Because I feel like those TV spots were just constant through this. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. But we'll talk a little bit more about that maybe on the Sunday Scaries, because I have some complaints about that. But we'll see. Anyway, guys, yeah, if you guys want to keep up with us, definitely follow us on all our social medias at Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SplattercastPod. You can keep up with us with all the updates, news, just conversation pieces as they go on through the week. You can also find our other content going on down below at the channel. And also just know that we are in the midst of Splatterthon right now. It's our Halloween special going on all month long. And we are doing a giveaway where we are giving away a Splatterthon themed mug and a copy of the Black Phone on Blu-ray. So definitely go down to the link. It's right at the top there. You can click it. All you have to do to enter is comment your favorite horror film. And we'll be doing a live drawing for that at the end of the month on Halloween. So exciting stuff. Luke, you got anything else for him?
Nope. Nothing at all, other than I got Chucky on the brain, and I cannot wait to see where this goes.
Awesome. Alrighty. Well, we'll be back with you again next Wednesday for Chucky Season 2, Episode 2. And until then, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.